we are like Cal State Fullerton soccer based podcast.
Okay.
So you basically don't need an introduction at all. Because you're basically in our households like every single day, every other day.
Right, that's cool.
So no need for an official introduction, but I do want to give you one. You've had this career spanning around, what is it? How long has it been, would you say?
Well, I've been at ESPN for 13 years. Before that, I was at Real Madrid TV for 5 years preceding that. And I was at local TV after college. And before I was at college, I used to work at the local radio station.
Oh wow. Okay, so
A media geek right from the start.
absolutely, absolutely. So it's been quite a bit. And yeah, like you mentioned, ESPN, you're kind of moderating ESPN FC, which is this
Yeah.
huge program. I don't know if it was as big as it is now when you started, but as far as our kind of circle, you don't get much bigger than that. So
It's snowballed most definitely. So in 2010, when I first came over, we were doing something called Press Pass, which was for the Caribbean and Australia. And I think it was presspass.net or something like that. It's before ESPN FC kind of took over the rebrand. And that happened in 2013. And then since then, it's kind of snowballed. And YouTube has been a vehicle for that as well. Like I think in the last 2 years, we've gone from 100, 200,000 subscribers to some like 2.5 million now. And I think people kind of rely on that as well as the television content. So the access to it has certainly improved a lot. Because you think when we first started, we were on ESPN2, so we were on domestic.
right.
But we were getting moved around all over the place because you know what it's like. There's a live sporting event, there's something that runs over, and it's impossible then to get a consistent time. So then we put it on ESPN Plus, and I was like a bit hesitant because I was thinking, people are going to pay extra for Plus, but
Right.
they really have. Like they've embraced kind of the streaming way, and because we got La Liga rights, the Bundesliga rights, Eredivisie rights, FA Cup rights, Carabao Cup rights. So obviously people look at it and think, well, $10 is actually okay because I'm not just paying for one league. I'm getting all these different leagues plus the show as well, which is there every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, and the show itself, like, I mean, the fact that you did mention like all these different leagues, all these different shows, so people have all these different kind of possible places to watch their football review, but
Yeah.
just consistently, it's been you guys.
Yeah, I think what's been important is that we knew originally to focus, say on 20 big teams in Europe. That was always going to be the case. Your big
Okay.
six, seven in England, Real Madrid, Barcelona, a bit of Atleti, Bayern, PSG. And because even if you're a casual fan of another club, you're going to have interest in those teams
Right.
because of how big they are. So that's kind of what we did. That's what we focused on. So it's good in that there's only so much football you can watch. So if you've kind of got the guide to watch the big teams, and then that sparks a discussion, that's kind of how we've taken it forward. And of
Right.
course, we do it in a different way to others in that it's unscripted. There's a lot of banter, but not forced banter because we've been doing it for so long. We know each other so well.
Mm.
So you won't go to our show for a tactical breakdown necessarily of a 4-3-2-1 or a 4-4-2, because I never really spoke to my mates about that. When we're talking about football, we're talking about, oh, this guy, I hate this guy, I hate this referee, I love this guy. Did you see what they did there? And I
Right.
think have that platform with ex-players, which is the most important thing, obviously, because they bring insight that none of us can ever really know. Like, what's it like in that situation? How are you feeling if you're Mason Mount at the moment? They're bringing all these different players, so it kind of what works so well is that you've got their knowledge, you've got our friendship between each other, and the fact that we haven't got a specific time frame. So the show's normally about an hour,
Right.
but there is like you've got to go to break. You've got 2 minutes now. If you look at NBC, you've got little clumps, obviously, but they're all working to commercials. So it's really nice that we kind of have that freedom to express what we want in the time frame that we want. And if
Right.
I get bored, move on. I'm not trying to film.
No, absolutely. Everything that you said, I mean, it rings totally true. Like it
Good.
translates completely. And actually that was going to be something I was going to bring up later. But I mean, just perfectly, what you said leading up to, what I was going to say, which is, exactly that. Like, there's this sense of um, locker room talk almost, that is associated, that I associate with the show.
Yeah.
And to an extent, obviously, it's sort of this mixture of both, which I think is really, really, really clever. And I was gonna say, how much of that, you mentioned the camaraderie and that you guys have known each other for so long.
Yeah.
How much of that would you say is is work? How much of that do you have to actively think about? Okay, I'm going to add this sort of level of humanism, and how much of it is just you guys doing
I
your
think
thing?
it's just organic, and I think if you try and force it, then it's really tricky. And then when you have new people on, so like Pablo Zabaletta's been on a lot more recently, and I try and get the best out of Pablo by not just asking bland questions. Pablo, how did you feel in this situation, and what was it like for you? When you won the league, and those sort of things, to just try and get their experience, because anyone can come on and say, well, City are struggling of late. They need a bit more spark. It's like, well, what happened when you were having a flat time at City? What helped you boost that?
Right.
And I love that bit. I could speak to ex pros all day. They're so much better. It's like when we have pros on who are still playing, they are so dull and so boring because they don't say anything. It's not their fault. They're programmed not to say anything because they know people like us will tear them apart if they say something, and then we jump on those quotes. So I just love, because look, we all wanted to be footballers. No one wanted to be a TV presenter over a footballer. That's all our dream. However, we're living kind of that second dream through them, and just to hear their stories and hear their experiences is the best part by a mile of the job, because I love it, because it's something that so few people get to experience. Frank won the World Cup, for crying out loud. How many people can you speak to about that? And it's great. And then we genuinely, like, Frank was here for Thanksgiving. We have a genuine friendship, which is good as well, because everything we do is genuine. I don't suck up to them. I talk, if they say something stupid, I said, "What are you doing? What are you saying that for?" But they know I'm not doing it from a bad place or to get clicks or just to wind them up. I'm doing it because it's what I do to my mates.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. And yeah, that aspect of it as well. Like, I mean, ESPN FC is different than a lot of other shows in terms of, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts, a lot of even the stuff that we do where it's like, it's me, it's one other, it's two other people.
Yeah,
And we can kind of cultivate something together relatively easily. But I mean, seeing you guys, it's Pablo, it's Mark, it's Don. It's like,
yeah.
it's, it's almost like it's so many people. But it's always like you guys always have that energy still, that kind of wholesome energy. And I think you already answered that question about how you guys cultivate
Yeah, and
it.
that's recruitment as well. Like the people who come on for a reason.
Mhm.
Like Mario came on and he's texting me afterwards going, "Wow, that was different. I love that." Because it's not all serious. It's not you talk, you talk, you talk, I talk, you talk, you talk, you talk, I talk. Because that doesn't happen in real life. And when you're talking about sports, everyone's talking over each other. Everyone's trash talking each other. So
Right.
on that kind of platform, it's worked. It's worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, literally like it's such a different vibe from like so many of these other shows, and like that's so cool to hear that like other or that some of your guests like will reach out to you and say, wow, like that was kind of refreshing, that was
Yeah,
different.
really nice coming. Like, but I suppose, like, especially for those who work in England, everything is so straight. Everything is really straight, and like you watch Sky Sports News, it's like the most serious thing in the world. If X, Y, or Z is going to Burnley, when no one really cares, but they have to pretend, that they do care, and it is a big deal. Opposed to us, where we can just kind of sweep those sort of things under the carpet, and talk about the real things, like Stevie getting lost in the woods.
Oh man, oh man, absolutely. uh we love Stevie.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I want to
Like that. That is not an act. That is Stevie to an absolute T.
that's so good to hear.
Yeah, you could. I don't think you could even pretend to be that much of an idiot at times.
Or at least like so Stevie, so like so
Yeah,
him.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh man. Absolutely. I was wondering if I could take it back actually.
sure.
I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you're a little bit of like this media geek,
Yeah,
all the years of schooling, going into the media and then like local at the college, and then kind
yeah,
of working your way up. Um, I think sports broadcasting in general, or you know, like you said, like the dream that people have going into sports, whether it's to be a pro, whether it's to be a broadcaster, um, it's sort of like this ambiguous thing at some stage, like especially for people early on in their higher education, sort of it's tough to find what it is that you should focus on at this stage. Whereas maybe later on, when you start doing internships and stuff like that, it starts to become more clear. But even going back further to like the earliest kind of level of schooling, I was wondering what your perspective was, like your experience through that stage of your life relating to this career, and also just maybe one skill or technique that you would recommend that those people kind of focus on.
It's really weird, isn't it? Because like if you want to be a doctor, you go to medical school and you do that, and then you choose what specialty you do, and then you do that, and then you're that doctor in that specialty. But with what we do, there's no like, right, what you need to do is go to broadcast school, and then you get into local, and then you go to national, and then you go to international, and then that's it. It is so difficult, and luck plays such a major part in it. Yeah, it's just I've had so many sliding door moments in my career that you just sit back and think, wow, I'm not where I am because I'm the best at it. I am where I am because I've just been lucky throughout, and I recognize that, and I love and appreciate that.
Right.
But when I was younger, like I started when I was 15. I had my first internship when I was 15 on the radio, and I just kept going back. I just kept knocking on doors. I kept kind of saying like I'll do anything, and I think that's the kind of key when you're first starting. And if you want to be a broadcaster, then be in that situation where you say, look, I'll go and do anything. I'll go and do vox pops for you. I'll go and stand in the cold for you. I'll do whatever you want to be, and then just hope that kind of grows, and that is the kind of start of something. I also say as well, if you get an internship, make sure that people notice you, and not in an annoying way, not in an in your face way, but kind of go for a drink with people, go and have lunch with people, socialize with people, talk to people, find out about their journey. Don't be like, I've got to go at 5 because I've got to get to the gym, or I've got an appointment. Make sure you're kind of there and you're flexible, and you can kind of do everything about it. Also, be careful which path you get. Right. So if you want to be a broadcaster, I want to be on TV, I want to have my show, I want to do this. Right. Okay. That's where you should focus. Not camera, not sound, not behind the scenes, because it's very difficult to kind of go from. I've had conversations with people at ESPN who came in as producers and like, right, how do I get into your position? I said, well, no one's going to go find you and say, let's give you a show. What you need to do is get back to local, do local sports, get yourself on screen, and develop from there. So just having your foot in the door and kind of being in the same building isn't necessarily going to correlate with becoming a TV presenter, if that makes sense.
It does, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that I think of, because actually, interesting thing about me is I'm pre-med,
right.
So completely random. That I do a soccer podcast. But you did mention like working to be a doctor, like a little bit more straightforward. But then at that point, or to that point, you wouldn't work as work into nursing or as a PA to then become a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what I thought of when you said that.
Good comparison to have. Like just because you're in a hospital doesn't mean you can do the surgery.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or people pick on you and then go to the surgery as well.
Maybe, yeah. Oh man, but it's actually another interesting thing. We had Rob Stone on here, who I don't know if you were. I asked him a very similar question, and not to say that your guys' experiences are not unique and separate, but it's interesting how similar in a lot of aspects they are.
Right.
Because he also had, when I asked him about what advice to give, or when I asked him about his position going through that part of his education, because I like to ask that question because there's a lot of undergrads that listen to this.
Oh.
And he said it's tough because there was a lot of luck associated with it as well.
Yeah.
But he mentioned to put himself out there, that that concept.
Yes.
So now I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, wow, like this feels like this is a huge thing, is just to put your face out there, I guess.
Yeah, most definitely. Because it's like anything, it's like trying to meet a partner. That you've got to shoot. You've got to shoot, or you're not going to score. It's the same with work. No one's going to knock on your door and say, "Excuse me, sir, would you like your own TV show?"
Right.
You know, and you're going to get rejections, and it's going to be hard, man. It is not easy. And like I was working in TV, and then lost my job, and then you're knocking on doors everywhere, and you're just getting nothing. You're getting absolute nothing, and then a break happens, and another break happens, and then it's all good. But it's like the media industry is cruel in that there's no blueprint, there's no efficient way of saying, like, people ask me, like, so how do I get into it? And I say, well, what you need to do is get experience, which is fine, which is good. But then what if you have to work 2 jobs to support your family and you don't have that sort of platform to be able to go and do experience at the local TV or the local radio? Everybody's situation is unique. So it's kind of difficult to preach in a way because everybody's situation is so different, not only academically, but obviously economically, your home life, everything kind of contributes to it as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like, I mean, even with Rob, it's like, I mean, then he went into different sports, even though that wasn't his main focus. And it's this sort of crazy thing. Like you said, it's not like any profession, any other profession.
No. But then you get in my situation, it's the best. Do you know what I mean? It's the absolute. I sit with my mates all day and we chat about football. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's something, because it's so difficult, because you have to kind of go through those different, kind of get through all those obstacles, and because everything kind of has to fall your way. Once you're there, man, do you appreciate it? Man, every single day, I absolutely appreciate what I do, and I love it. I give it 100%, and I'm always very harsh on myself. If something goes wrong, or I say something wrong, or get like a fact, or it was a slip up that I shouldn't have. And I think that's great. To have those sort of standards is something that just kind of keeps you in check. And because you're doing live TV every day, there's always going to be something that goes wrong. So the next day, you're like, right, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. So
Right.
it's kind of nice.
No, that's awesome. That was going to be a question that I was going to ask, and then I decided not to because I felt like we kind of covered it. But you added another dimension to, like, sort of being live, being on air. And I was going to say, do you have to like think about things that you're saying,
Yes.
and to what extent, and stuff like that? So it's like, it seems like it's a balance, like everything.
Yeah, I think definitely, because I've been doing it for so long, you kind of go on, like, there's a filter. So there's things, and then you kind of think, well, I could say that, but then obviously you don't want to get into trouble for things. It's a fine balance, and it's the line. It's the line, like, you don't want to upset people. It's the line with my colleagues. I don't want to overstep with them. I don't want to say something that's going to offend or upset them. And it's all on that. It's a massive balancing act of trying to keep it entertaining, but not doing something which will cost me my job, or it will get me into trouble. So you're kind of thinking quick, and obviously because I do it every day, it comes naturally. You kind of think very quickly from the filter, from that thought, and it kind of all comes out. And unfortunately, so far, touch wood, 13 years of doing this, I haven't put myself in a situation where I'm regretting heavily what I've done or what I've said.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and even like with the format of ESPN FC, where you have these extra time questions where they're almost purposefully geared towards spurring people, stirring the pot. Who's your favorite, who's your least favorite?
I know, but people love extra time, man. It's interesting, the responses we get for extra time is that it makes people feel like we're part of their family in some way, because they know everybody's traits, and they like hearing all the stories of what Craig's been up to, what did Eleanor cook Stevie for, and all this sort of stuff. And it's really nice that we have a platform to be able to do that. And what was important was, during COVID, we kept going, we didn't stop. Right. So even though football, we would still put out something, we could get questions talking about the past, whatever. And people were saying, because obviously, like, mental health is a big thing during COVID. People were struggling. It was nice to have that little bit of normality, just have us every day like it was normal, just for a little bit of escapism. So when people reached out and said that to us, that kind of, it really did mean a lot, because sometimes you don't realize the connection you have with people because you just think, oh, it's just four guys in a room laughing at each other. But people kind of feel that they are part of that because they listen every day. And that's awesome. That's something I never thought we would be even discussing.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, it's four guys or girls having this conversation with each other, but almost it's 4 million, because it's
Yeah.
like everybody in there, at least I can speak for myself, I can speak for my friends as well. It's when we turn it on through COVID, whatnot, it's like all of a sudden you're involved with the conversation because that's how you talk, like you mentioned, or that's how people talk. So
Yeah.
I'm speaking my mind, and that's upsetting my friend.
Yes.
And he's getting involved, and then
Yeah.
Stevie's getting involved, and you're getting involved, and it's like this whole thing.
No, that's a nice way of putting it, most definitely. And that's why, it's difficult for those, like, if you look at what Fox did during the World Cup, it's difficult because you're going to throw all these people together who don't know each other that well, or don't have that kind of same rapport. And it's not something you can just, right, there we go. Everyone laugh, band, everyone knows the flow. Because we do it every day and because we've been doing it for so long, I almost know what people are going to say before they say it. And that way I can kind of gauge who is the best person to go to, because I know who will give me the best answer and be the best catalyst to kind of carry on the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's so interesting, and again, it's so cool to hear that it's like it's this organic thing.
Yeah,
That's super
that's.
awesome.
I think if we don't have any meetings, obviously, because Craig wouldn't attend them. If, like, we had a meeting, like, right, today, if you say this and you say that, then that'd be really funny, because then I'll say that. People catch up. People aren't idiots, They catch on. They'll catch on to that real quick, and you get caught out as well. Like, what was I supposed to remember to say at this? But what was my supposed to be my thought process on it? It just doesn't. It doesn't work. But if everything can just be as it is down the pub with your mates, where there's obviously nothing, right, today we're going to talk about this, that, the other, that, your opinion's going to be this. It doesn't happen like that. And that's brilliant that we can kind of mirror what happens between groups of mates just with us on the TV.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, it's truly incredible. And like I'm sure there is, it doesn't have to be as cut and dry as like, you have a show and you have those meetings, and then all of a sudden it's like canceled. There's also shows that are just kind of there, you know,
Yeah,
they just
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
exist, and
yeah,
it, yeah, it
yeah,
just is what it is.
yeah.
And then you have stuff like this that just becomes that much more, special.
Yeah, that's cool. No, that's cool. I think the NBA show with, like, Charles Barkley and Shaq, I think they kind of have a similar sort of rapport,
Yeah,
and obviously you can see how successful that has been. That's kind of the only other thing that I've seen in sports broadcasting over here that has a similar sort of tone, and you kind of feel that they have a similar sort of rapport with us,
yeah,
apart from their.
absolutely, the NBA today for sure. The one that I was thinking of, the Champions League, the US broadcast with
Yeah,
Thierry.
like, yeah, with Jamie and Kate and
Yeah,
Mika Rich. Yeah, that's really good. They've done a fantastic job there. Because again, it's pretty much, you can just feel that it isn't scripted. Like, it's kind of right. They sit down and they built a rapport really quickly together. They've done a great job with it. They've done it properly as well. So that's really good to see.
absolutely, absolutely. I would still say I enjoy ESPN FC a little bit
Oh,
more.
no, no, don't worry. It's like it's not a competition at all. But then you've got NBC, who do a brilliant job of what they do with
Oh,
the press, but they just don't have the same time as we do, because they're in this commercial world where it's like, right, Robbie, and then Rebecca, and then that's it, and they don't have that kind of same sort of time frame to go into the same sort of details that we do.
right.
Plus, I don't. They'd be, if many people would care on NBC about Stevie Shepherd's pies. Wait,
You'd be surprised, maybe.
yeah, but both Robbies started with us. They were with us first
Oh, did they
before they
really?
yeah, before they went to NBC. Just brilliant guys,
Great
great
guy.
guys, and they were fantastic with our situation with the rapport and everything as well.
Yeah, no, it's but yeah, like you said, like it's just so much faster over there. Like things are
Yes,
going a mile a minute.
exactly, and then that's nothing they can control. That's the way it kind of works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much though, for kind of opening up like that and kind of
That's
revealing the behind the scenes.
that's all right.
That means a lot. A couple more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
just one more kind of personal, and then I was wondering if
What?
I could throw like it.
Come on.
Is it a little cold outside?
I don't know why she's going to go out and she's going to want to come back in 2 seconds.
That's what I was thinking. But anyway, I wanted to ask sort of if there's I don't mean to be like this wishy-washy. I don't mean for it to be like this wishy-washy sort of one moment that like defines your life, like some kind of grand sort of concept or anything. But uh like what is it, if is there like one moment or one thing that comes to mind? Could be something funny, it could be like it could be something, more personal or something, like just one moment that when you think about your career, like it's just the first thing that you think of.
I think the first time that I realized that I could actually do something is this when I got the Real Madrid job. Because when I was working out of college at a TV station that went bankrupt, I was working at a magazine, I was doing a golf show, radio, that I was really struggling to kind of make any sort of impact. I was thinking maybe of doing something else. And then in 2005, I got the Real Madrid job. And the first day, they took us to the Bernabeu and we did a photo shoot on the pitch. And you were like, wow, this is different gear. And I had like someone doing my makeup and like my hair. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. This is fantastic. So I think that moment was kind of one that I thought, wow, this is actually happening. This is going to be my career. And that 5 years in Madrid was just so much fun. I was commentating every home game at the Bernabeu. We were doing like a similar show, but just about Real Madrid. It was just so much fun, and I was only 25. I was still young at the time. I didn't have a family like here now, but but it was great. It was a yeah, that was a really special moment. And one of my favorite moments that I've done over the years was the Champions League final in 2010. I think 2010, when I was the stadium announcer. So
Oh
like the
wow, yeah.
like and it's like, oh, you got the microphone, there's a button. Oh, brilliant. Oh,
Everyone has is forced to listen to you.
UEFA gave me a €500 note in payment. It was just the best day. It
Wow,
was just the
just
game was the day was brilliant.
Oh no, that's awesome. Both of those are just awesome. Uh, is it hard to um when you guys are talking about Barcelona to kind of be like a little.
No, I don't have any allegiance now. It's weird. Like, because I spend so much time just watching football overall, my allegiance level, my fandom, like you think I was a Southampton supporter before I moved to Madrid, and then obviously I was well into Real Madrid. Um, I just think I suppose if you're going to say what's the one negative, it's I don't enjoy football casually as much as I used to, because it's like it's always there. You know what I mean? It was a busman's holiday. It's kind of how we would describe it.
Right.
Like it's always part of your life. So you wouldn't really come home and go, oh, I'm going to watch more football now. When you don't, if you don't, it wouldn't particularly help the show. The exception of that is England. I still get excited about England. I still become a fan. Craig would describe me when England are playing, because I suppose because the World Cup, the Euros kind of give me the chance to do that.
Right. Yeah, I think international football in general, it's almost like there's just
So,
no. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's just that it's like more pure,
yeah. But then,
Even
for example, I'd like Arsenal to do well because I like the fact it's not City, and that's not because I don't like City. It's just nice to have a different team involved, and they're playing good football.
No, exactly.
I love watching Erling Haaland. Love seeing him score goals. So you become like appreciative more, I think, of storylines and individuals. Plus you kind of want things that are going to work out better for you. I was pleased Newcastle Manchester United Carabao Cup final. We're going to present that. It'd be very different if Southampton against Nottingham Forest. No offense, but obviously, United against United is much more exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's what is that? I mean Newcastle, who haven't won a major trophy in what, close to 50 years. Yeah.
Nice domestic cup. Yeah.
Right.
99's last time they've been to Wembley. And then United looking for their first trophy under Ten Hag, and it's United. So brilliant, great storylines going into that, which is February the 26th on ESPN Plus.
Let him know. Let him know. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got that in. Because that was some really great advice, especially for students, like even like trying to pursue this job. Like
Yeah.
it is at the end of the day, there is a job aspect to it. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
most definitely. Anyone, like any job, anything you do, it's gonna someone dilute your love for what that thing is. I think that's just part of the course.
yeah, yeah, no, but absolutely. Thank you so much. I know we went over,
That's okay.
um,
No,
but just awesome, awesome insight, and just thank you in general for you know being that constant presence on our TVs and like
well,
giving.
there are many in my comments would suggest that that is not as positive as you suggested it is.
Don't listen to them.
No,
On
but that's also
yeah,
important. Don't look, if you get anywhere in this world, don't read the comments, or if you do read the comments, please don't take them personally, please, because they're not real people. It doesn't really, and it doesn't affect you. The only people whose comments should matter are your bosses. That's it.
right. Yeah, that's honestly that might be one thing that I would say to take out of this the most is especially
Yeah,
the social media, everything.
I've had some horrible things said to me, but it doesn't matter. It's not real. It's not real life. These people aren't. They don't count. They're not important to you, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
No.
be careful on social media.
Yeah. No.
That's it. When you think you've got a funny tweet, make sure it's something that isn't going to bite you in the butt 10 years from now because you just thought at that time it was funny or it was necessary. And don't be tweeting media people with your opinion that they're not very good or this, that, and the other. If you want to be a journalist or if you want to, because what does that do? Just always think, how is this going to help? Does this help anything in my life if I do this? So just be aware of that because I don't want people like it wasn't really a thing because obviously we didn't have social media when I was younger, but I don't want you just doing something for a few likes amongst your mates that's going to come back and bite you in the arse.
No. Nowadays that's huge. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's
just be careful.
that's huge. But yeah, thank you so much.
That's very serious, thanks, Ben.
You know what? Let's the very last thing, 180. This is gonna get me hammered by my friends who like you're supposed to have these natural progressions in interviews
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
so,
This is yeah, what are they? I mean, okay, now but I was wondering if I could end it on a almost an extra time type question. Um
sure.
this is what I thought of. I told all my friends, my brother Christopher, like we all thought this would be like an awesome question to ask at extra time.
What if
Uh,
it's a terrible? You
oh
built
my
it
God.
up so much, and I
Oh,
just gonna.
there was no pressure until you said that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, no, that's okay. I'll still say it. I was gonna say, okay, it's fine.
No, you got to say it now. No matter how terrible it's clearly going to be.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, clearly. Um, oh man. Okay. Rip the band-aid off. Very simple. Um, this is the question. So yeah, so before you answer the question, just let me know if it's a good extra time question also.
All
Um,
right,
all
it
right.
isn't.
Okay, perfect. The question is, um, out of all the managers,
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp,
Mm-hmm.
um, Jurgen Klopp, oh my gosh, I'm fumbling the bag. I'm forgetting the names of the managers. Graham
Pressure.
Potter, Jurgen Klopp,
Yeah.
Antonio Conte.
Yes.
Um, which which would you rather be? Um, including football and beyond.
Right. Okay.
So not just their current situations, what's
Yeah.
on the line, who do they have, but also who would you rather be on a daily basis?
Oh no, I get that. So Conte or Klopp?
Or or sorry, Tuchel,
Oh man,
Graham Potter.
Potter, Tuchel, Potter, Klopp.
Potter, Klopp, Conte.
Oh, I'd be Klopp all day, man. No doubt. Conte, you must be so miserable being Conte because you're always moaning about something. Even though he's got lovely new hair, it just doesn't seem to have the same sort of happy effect.
Those
Potter
pictures.
seems Potter seems like a nice guy, but he hasn't had that success. I think Jurgen Klopp walking around Liverpool, you're like, yeah, I'm the man, absolute man. And he seems like a really nice guy as well, which you never really know. You don't really, apart from when you didn't know that Nathan played football. But yeah, I would definitely go for Klopp over that.
Oh no, that's absolutely. I think I would agree with you, despite the hair, despite everything. The beach photos of Antonio Conte.
Yes,
That's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sort of Italian dad look
Yeah,
is,
it's just miserable. It's like, oh, it must be so hard to be that miserable every day.
yeah, 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 absolutely. But yeah, that's it. That was that.
All right, man.
Oh, that felt thank you so much. So
Hey,
that,
you have to leave that question in now because you know everyone's going to kill you for the way you asked it.
oh man. Yeah, they are. And yes, you're right. That's so what are your plans the rest of the day?
What's I'm going to watch Shark Tank in 2020. Very exciting.
Oh, that
That's
sounds like perfect.
that's it. That's my evening.
That can't, I mean, I'll probably watch ESPN FC.
There
Uh
you go. I'm not on it. I don't care if I'm not on.
oh, that's the way to send it on. But really though, thank you so much. Like
I,
this,
no worries, mate. I'm glad. I was nice to talk to you.